Everybody, thanks for coming to October's Neighborhood Watch. It's been a very interesting year because of COVID and everything. We haven't had a whole lot going on this year as opposed to previous years. This is going to be the last Neighborhood Watch for this year. We plan to resume January 2021 depending on the situation with the pandemic. Everybody's safety is obviously our number one concern, so we're going to be monitoring that situation very closely, make sure everything and everyone is safe before we go through and continue. Something that I was going to go through and talk about tonight is our current crime reporting statistics, and the conversation tonight is going to be more about how the people in Neighborhood Watch can help watch out for the neighborhood, how they can stay safe, and how they can help keep others safe. So this is a report that we can generate that has the numbers for the different reports that we've had throughout the year. It's not going to be covering the entire year because we're only up to October. Starting in January, we'll have a better idea on how we were in 2020 versus years before. At this rate, or at this point, we have just the highlights: 30 what's called agency assists, where we assist Rio Grande County, Alamosa County, Alamosa PD, just different agencies with law enforcement operations. Animal problems, 13. This year we had 31 assaults reported, 25 burglaries, 26 drug-specific calls, 40 damaged property calls, 13 deaths, that's unattended deaths and suicides. And that can be anything from someone dying of an unknown reason, accidents, old age, just anything that basically isn't a homicide. So the next category is domestic problems. This is DV and child abuse, anything of a family nature, basically. We've had 25 of those. 12 instances of people being drunk in public, 15 DUIs, about 23 fraud calls, 54 harassments, 31 calls for mental subjects. So a little while back we spoke about how there's an increase in calls for mental health. This number seems to be continuing to increase every year and is continuing to increase even this year. 4 missing persons calls, 8 sex-related calls, 114 theft calls, 57 traffic accidents, and 3 weapons-related calls. So those are just the calls that we've received and reported year to date. So that's not every call that we've received, because there can be cases where say someone said, "Oh, someone tried to kill me." Well, what happened? Well, he looked at me. Well, we actually do get calls like that, and no, we do not write reports for that usually. Because it's, well, looking at someone is hardly an offense. But those are the kind of calls that we have, and like I said, beginning next year, we'll have a better idea on where we stood here in 2020 as opposed to previous years. Looking at it recently, it looks like crime of every kind has significantly dropped. but I think that's largely due to the pandemic. And something that I can say is a lot of people definitely, of every walk of life, definitely respected the situation. So people, and times when we would usually see heightened criminal activity, that wasn't there this year. So going through and looking at how much the numbers may have dropped is not going to be a good representation of how crime has actually been affected through different programs as from previous years. This is going on to our presentation tonight, and so something that's been brought up to me. We've done a lot of law presentations. These are the laws, and this is how the law affects people, and so on. But Neighborhood Watch is supposed to be about how the community can go through and come together, and how the citizens can help protect each other. So what we're going to talk about today is the common signs of the most common crimes that we encounter in general in law enforcement. So the most common crimes every day are shoplifting, burglary and car break-ins, package theft, drug distribution, and DUIs. So shoplifting. Everybody's heard about how someone stole something from a store. Well, shoplifting, these are some of the signs of shoplifting, okay? So when someone walks in wearing bulky clothing, that could be nothing. They could just be wearing bulky clothing because that's their style. But people will usually wear bulkier clothing so that they can conceal goods within their clothes. Once again, another common sign, though it can mean absolutely nothing, is when they come in with more than one person. What will happen with this is someone will go through and talk to the clerk and distract the clerk while the other person goes through and steals the goods. So, hey clerk, can you show me something over here? And then out over there, when the clerk's looking completely away, they'll go through and start stuffing things in their clothes. They stay shopping in the same location for a long time. Something that we've noticed is, particularly in cosmetics, people will go through and they'll just look at the different makeup time and time again. And they'll pick it up off the shelf and they'll put it back. They'll pick it up off the shelf and they'll put it back. And they'll do this 3, 4, 5, 6 times. They're there for like 15, 20 minutes till the clerk has to go through and do something else, and that's when they'll go through and make their actions. And they'll constantly be looking for where people are. In general, people who are committing theft, they're very cautious, they're very alert, and they kind of look like the gazelle when the lion's nearby, just constantly just looking around. Because they don't want to be seen. They don't want to be noticed. So all of these signs by themselves could be nothing. They could mean absolutely nothing. They could not be indicators at all. Especially by themselves. However, when you have several of these things happening at the same time, it's a good indication that a shoplifting is probably about to happen. So when you're in public and you see this kind of thing, you can go through, and so a lot of people have kind of a gut feeling, if you will, that something like this is about to happen. But what do you do about it? Well, shoplifters don't like attention. That's why they're sitting there in the same location. They're waiting for the clerk to have to do something else. No one's looking at them. They'll wait till they're alone in the cell. Seriously, just walking by and saying hi to someone, just the very friendly gesture of hi, not engaging in prolonged conversation, just, hey, how you doing? That right there goes through and puts the fact that they have been noticed in their mind. And it will reduce the chances of them possibly committing the crime. Won't reduce it to zero, but it definitely puts them on a higher state of alert to where they might not want to commit the crime. Speak with the clerks about your observations. They might know the person that comes in. They might be a regular. They might always just be a little sketchy. There are people that we have encountered. We have gotten calls about them time and time again. Oh, that person is sketchy. How you doing, man? Why are you here talking to me again? Well, you know what's going on. Yeah, I know. Did you take anything? No. All right, have a good day now. Very simple. But still speak with them, because there is still that possibility that they know they've been watching, or maybe they didn't even see that person come in or their particular actions. If you see someone place a product in their purse, clothing, or anything like that, call law enforcement. Do not confront them about it. Call law enforcement, talk to the clerks, let them know what you saw. And pay attention to clothing description, the vehicle description. If possible, if you can get a license plate, that's really helpful. But the thing about how law enforcement works, that we've talked about this several times, is you have to be willing to write a statement about it. And you have to be willing to testify in court. If you're not able to do that, our ability to go through and stop this kind of thing is dramatically reduced. So we're not trying to be hard on it, but we didn't see these things. If they don't have a camera system and you're the only one that saw these things, it is completely dependent on you to be able to help deter this in the future, to be able to stop it, to be able to get that product back. So I know there's a lot of people who are concerned in the community about some of the people that we encounter. We all are in this community together, and we're all trying to keep each other safe. Your willingness to participate in that will be helpful in going through and reducing the crimes that we face every day. The next one is burglaries and car break-ins. We have seen an increase in car break-ins lately. So the interesting things about burglary and car break-ins, I put them together because the signs for them are almost identical. So common signs are security lights turning on or the dogs barking with no explanation. Just middle of the night, could be the wind, could be someone outside, and you might not see them. A lot of people have security motion lights. Sometimes a squirrel will set them off, sometimes the wind will set them off, sometimes a person will set them off. But when you have a security light turn on or your dog starts barking or both at the same time, and then you can hear the chain of dogs start barking down the neighborhood, down the block, usually a good indicator that someone is trying to be sneaky and not being so because the dogs are paying attention. Another common thing is the suspects will go through and look in windows for valuables and unlocked accesses like doors and windows, and they'll keep it in mind for later. So during the day, they'll walk down the street and just... that very simple motion right there, they can see all of what's in the car. They can see if the doors or windows are unlocked, windows are down, if it's easy to access the car, if the car has a car alarm, and that takes maybe 10 seconds, 15 seconds. So keeping an eye out for people looking in windows for not just cars, but also houses. They'll do the same thing with houses. It's a little more obvious with houses because it's kind of weird seeing someone looking at the window, looking inside some of the windows at a house. Another thing, this goes back to lights, when there's lights on where there shouldn't be. Lights on in the shed. Lights on in the garage. Lights, the dome light on inside the car. These are things to keep an eye out for. Wearing dark clothing and a mask outside. A lot of people wear masks, especially during the pandemic. Going through and seeing masks on all over the place is not a surprise to us right now. I mean, here in the room, everyone's wearing a mask. When they're outside and they're wearing a mask and they have their hoodie on and they have their sunglasses on and you have no idea what their face looks like, it's a pretty good indicator that they're trying to obviously conceal their identity and probably up to no good. A person running. I'm not talking about your early morning joggers in their jogging shorts and you see them every morning. I'm talking about someone who just seems to inexplicably be running. They're not wearing the clothing for going for a jog. They're not. The biggest indicator I would think is they're not in the clothing for a jog, or the time of day is another one. Like, who goes running at 2 o'clock at night? I know I did when I worked graveyard, but how many people actually work graveyard? So, time of day, and what they're wearing are usually pretty good indicators. And carrying bulky or out-of-place items. One of the funniest calls I heard was for one of these that ended up being from a burglary. A guy was carrying a generator in a little red wagon, a little red kid's radio flyer wagon, and he was pulling a generator behind it. Is this normal? I would say no. You don't carry a generator in a kid's little red wagon. You carry it in a truck. I know almost everyone here, if they don't have a truck, they can call a friend and get a truck. Trucks are pretty common. So, ways you can go through deter is have security cameras. Security cameras are huge. Security cameras have gotten cheap. Security cameras have gotten to where you can get them at Walmart. You can get them at Amazon. You have Vivint. You have ADT. You have all kinds of security companies that go through and provide security services, or you can go to Walmart and buy your own security cameras and have that available. A lot of crime has been solved because of security cameras, and there has been an increased rate at which we can solve crimes because of security cameras. If there's a working security system in place, we're in a very small community. We have a very limited suspect pool. We can usually identify who our suspect is. Another thing that security cameras have been helpful for is protecting your neighbors. We've had a couple of cases, a small handful that I can think of, where the security camera just happened to be pointed the right direction, and we were able to ID the suspect from the neighbor's security cameras. So it's not uncommon when a crime happens for us to do an area canvass to see if there's any kind of security cameras. The next thing on the list is keep your vehicles locked. Keep all your buildings locked. Keep your sheds locked. Keep your doors locked. Keep your windows locked. You just keep as much locked as possible. Locks are a deterrent in their own way, because if they, for example, want to get into the vehicle and say they break a window, or they want to get into the house and they break a window, everybody hears that. A lot of people will go through and call and report the sound of glass breaking. This is where locks are incredibly helpful. A lot of criminals will go through and hit targets of opportunity. If they can go through, open a door, reach in, grab it, close the door, and keep walking, 15, 20 seconds, 30 seconds, a minute, that'll be much easier for them to go through and get away with than, well, let me find a rock. Let me break this and not cut myself. Let me possibly try to reach in. Let me hope that nobody heard it. Locks bring a whole new set of factors in for people who are wanting to commit a crime. And call law enforcement for anything suspicious. So if you see someone, they seem to be peeking in windows as they walk down the street, it's usually a pretty good indicator. And once again, be ready to go through and give the description, their description. Their hair color, if you can see their eyes, their eye color. What kind of shirt they're wearing, whether it's a button-up shirt or a hoodie or a sweater or a vest. If there's any designs on the vest, what kind of pants they're wearing, what color of the pants they're wearing, their shoes. The more descriptors you can give, the easier it will be to find a suspect. Package theft or porch pirates. This is more common during the holidays when people start going through and getting gifts for their families. It seems to be a little bit just after tax season, but definitely more during the holidays than during tax season. So, common signs of package theft. An unattended package. Well, an unattended package isn't per se a sign of package theft, but it's easy goods. Just laying on the porch, laying next to the mailbox, anything like that. Suspects walking slowly, observing porches. This is just like looking in the windows. If they're just kind of walking every porch you see them, turn their head towards the porch, walk and look and see them turn their head towards the porch. They're checking out those porches to see if there's anything else. Something that we've noticed here in Monte Vista is suspects will walk in a zigzag pattern across the street checking porches. So they'll check this porch, and they'll walk across the street and they'll check that one. And then they'll walk across the street and they'll check that one. And then they'll walk across the street and check that one. It's very odd behavior. And suspects walking or running with packages in hand. So, when you get a package, most people bring it inside. Or they're mailing a package through the post office or through FedEx. When I say someone walking or running with a package, I'm talking about someone walking down the sidewalk, passing 3, 4, 5 houses, with an Amazon package in their hand. This is not a normal behavior. This is, most people, like I said, they bring the package inside, not pick it up and go for a walk. So these are just things to look for, especially through the holiday season. And ways to deter it, once again, have security cameras. I think it was last year, or 2 years ago, the package thief that we had was identified with a security camera. Package was on the porch. He drove up. He was in the passenger seat of the vehicle. He told his driver to stop, opened up the door, walked up, knocked on the door, made sure there was nobody there, picked up the package, got back in the truck, and they drove off. Call law enforcement for any suspicious activity. Please don't call us if someone leaves their packages out on the porch and they haven't had time to pick it up yet. But if you notice someone who's observing porches, someone walking in a zigzag pattern, or someone walking around with a package in hand, especially during the holiday season, please give us a call. Let us know that if it's weird. Once again, suspects don't like attention. Just saying hi will go through and make them reconsider their thoughts and actions. And do your best not to leave packages unattended. I know that there's been conversation in recent years about having packages delivered to your place of business on days that you're going to be working. Or having packages dropped off at a friend's place. Just somewhere where you know you can go pick them up later and they won't be left unattended. Drug distribution. We've all heard about the drug problem in Monte. We've all heard about the drug problem in the valley, across the nation, however. Most common signs for drug distribution at a house is a lot of traffic there with people just showing up for a couple of minutes and then leaving. Something else that we've noticed is vehicles will go to parking lots. The people will stay in the car and they'll have people walk up to them or people drive up to them, and there will be quick exchanges that way. If you notice anything like that, call us, don't confront people about it. If they're in a vehicle, have the suspect's vehicle description and the license plate number if possible. If you're noticing at a house, record, I have on here, record any activity if possible. That can be anything from your cell phone camera at a distance, writing down a log of dates and times that people show up, how frequently they show up, how long they were there. Anything that will help establish a pattern for something like that. Like 35 people went to visit this guy that day. And then the next day, but nothing for 3 days. And then the same people started to show up again. That's a good indicator. And be safe. Definitely do not confront suspects, especially regarding drugs. They are dangerous people, and they are very unpredictable people. The last one on our list is DUI. The common signs of DUI are the driver of the vehicle having difficulty maintaining speed. So, like between here and Alamosa, it's 65 in there. They'll slow down to 45, and then they'll speed up to 70, and then they'll slow down to 55, and they'll speed up to 70. And then they'll go 65 for a while, and then they'll slowly start to slow down again. And then they'll speed up again. That kind of thing. Swerving and crossing the fog line or the center line. And then doing it a lot. So that's an indication of DUI, but that's also an indication of someone texting and driving. That's something you'll see there. Vehicle stops suddenly, or they'll stop at places that it's inappropriate. One DUI I had a few years ago. A person pulled out of a bar, used their turn signal, cool, and then came to a stop at the intersection. That doesn't seem bad, except there was no stop sign there. And then they continued to drive, and they crossed the center line, and then they almost ran into the parked cars on the other side of the road. This was a pretty good indication that they were intoxicated. But stopping suddenly, like a real jerking stop, where they're going, and they'll just, instead of go slowly coming to a stop, they'll just jerk to a stop. Or stopping where there's no stop sign. Stopping for a green light, that's another good indicator. And the driver appears to react slowly. And so an example of that would be, like, they're taking a long time to turn a corner, like a really long time. Like they'll be driving, doing the speed limit, and then they'll slow down, and then instead of just turning the corner and proceeding, like any of us would, they stop, they slow down, and they just kind of edge their way around the corner. That's another good indicator that they're probably intoxicated. You have all of these combined, you have really, really good indication of being intoxicated. So, if you see these and you call it in, we'll receive what's called a ready complaint. Report every drunk driver immediately. And that's a very important thing for safety of the public, because we know that drunk drivers, one of the highest killers, if not the highest killer of people on the roadway in the United States. But it's really hard to do anything if you don't sign a complaint. If you're not willing to sign a complaint, it makes it very difficult, because once again, we did not see what you saw. We did not see those indicators. So, be ready to sign the complaint, and when you sign a complaint, do keep in mind, you may have to testify in court about what you saw. Corporal Pino's with us. He actually does a lot with DUIs here in Monte. Is there anything you'd like to add? Any expertise you'd like to give us on this subject?
I think you hit it on the head. The indicators for somebody that might be impaired is, stopping erratically, hitting curves, so on and so forth. The thing that I think that he brought to light was pretty important is if you're not willing to actually sign the complaint, it makes it hard for us because we're having to go out there and establish our own what's called PC or probable cause. And if we're having to do that, and usually most of the time they're driving perfectly out of us. So it kind of makes it hard on our side to enforce anything if we're not having the public's, I guess you can say, backing to say, hey, I'm gonna go ahead and sign this complaint. And you can actually say, I'd like to have him stop. If he is drunk, I'll sign the complaint. If not, have him on his way. I've done that in the past before, just like I said in the ready reports. When we get maybe 3 or 4 of those a day in Monte Vista and San Luis Valley, we will stop and we'll hold them for the state patrol if it happened within this city limits of Monte, and we'll stop and investigate it ourselves for sure. But I think you still wrong.
That's basically all of the most common crimes and what you can do in the community to help deter those crimes, help those crimes get caught. Starting a few years back, I'm not sure how far back this goes, there was something we were saying, if you see something, say something. Because your reporting it is one of the main ways we in law enforcement can actually start doing something about what you see. The police dispatch number for Monte Vista is 719-852-5111. For emergencies, call 911. Okay, you don't need to call the dispatch line for a crime in progress. Call 911. If it's a cold report, which is something that's happened in the past, you don't need to call 911 for that. You can call the dispatch line unless you're still currently in danger. Absolutely call 911 in that case. But the community, for all of us to work together to keep it safe, everyone has to be willing to take the steps to keep it safe. If you see something and you don't say anything about it, you're just enabling it to happen again and again and again. And once again, if we weren't there, if we didn't see it, if we don't have a recording of it of some kind to go through and reference back to, it is very difficult for us to do anything about it. So I encourage everyone in the community, if you see something, say something. Call it in so that we can start to address the issues that you are seeing in the community and not just the ones that we would see. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for watching. Hope to see you all next year. Have a good night.